What's going on, guys, and welcome to another tutorial here on our channel, The Guide. My name is Valerio, and today we have a third video that talks about skill moves. Now, in the first one, you might remember we released at the start of FIFA 20, we discussed the top 5 most basic but yet effective skill moves. We then took it a little bit further and we released a top 5 video for the most advanced but yet still effective skill moves. And today we go even further and we talk about the top 5 skill and combinations that we found in FIFA 20. Because of the way that skill moves and particularly chaining skill moves was nerfed, it was tough to find the perfect combinations over time, but it was definitely worth it because adding that extra layer of unpredictability in your offense can go a long way. So without further ado, let's get straight into the first skill combination, which has been a staple in many different FIFA games. The drag back into a scoop turn consists of the drag back, a 2-star skill, and the scoop turn, a 4-star skill. So to perform this combination, you will need at least a 4-star skiller. The first part of this skill move involves only the first half of the drag back. And from previous tutorials on our channel, you will know that to perform a drag back, you would have to hold down the right bumper and hold your left stick to the opposite direction of where you're facing in that moment. For this, however, that won't be necessary as we only want the half drag back and holding the left stick is not necessary. So to perform the half drag back, as usual, hold down the R1 or RB button as you would for any normal drag back and then simply flick the left stick opposite of that direction you're facing. So you're flicking, not holding. And this will initiate a half drag back where your player stops with no momentum facing the way that he was initially started in. The second part of the skill combo is the scoop turn. As the scoop turn is a variation of the fake shot, its inputs are identical. The difference is that you can only do this with a 4-star skiller and it won't work while running. Hence why the drag back is the perfect skill to use right before a scoop turn as it removes the momentum and it's the perfect segue into the scoop turn. To perform the scoop turn, you press the shot button followed by the ground pass button, which on PS4 would be circle, then X, and on Xbox it would be B, then A. At the same time, you aim your left stick to the direction that you want to exit. You can also fake shot by using the cross button and then the ground pass button, in other words, square, then X on PS4, or X, then A on Xbox. That part is completely up to you and what you prefer. The important part, however, is making sure that you are stationary so you can trigger the 4-star scoop turn and aiming your left stick to either your right or left side. Also, always note that you'll have to adjust the angle of your stick movements depending on the angle of your body. When combining the two, the result is as follows. You hold down R1 or RB and you flick your left stick to the opposite direction you are facing so that you can perform a half drag back. Once you are stationary, you perform a fake shot while aiming your left stick to whatever side that you want to exit. Once you've practiced enough and take this combination in game, you'll notice that it's a really good move to weave around a defender who might be charging into you. The drag back acts as the initial decoy, and then with the scoop turn, you're able to follow a curved trajectory with your player that can throw a lot of people off enough to the point where you can simply curve around them. Meanwhile, in and around the box will be the best area to use it because it can often turn a tough, crowded situation into a much more positive one. The half drag back can also throw a lot of people off in those areas as it's a really bold and calm, collected move for you as the attacker to make. And then combining it with the scoop turn that follows, it's even harder for the defender to track it correctly inside the box than it would have been for him to charge at outside of the box. Once you exit the scoop turn, either reassess the situation to pass it off to a different teammate who might be in a good position and now you might have found the best angle to pass to him, or maybe you can find yourself in a good enough or better position to shoot the ball around your opponent because again, oftentimes you will create space just by using the skill move. Both the running scoop turn and the McGee spin are 5-star skills, so this combination of the running scoop turn into a McGee spin will require you to use a 5-star skiller. The commands of the running scoop turn are similar to those of the scoop turn that we just went over with, just a couple of more things to keep in mind for consistency. First, you'll have to be moving to perform the running scoop turn. Just make sure you're exclusively doing so via left stick dribbling and not via sprinting. It will not work if you're sprinting and going at full speed. Nonetheless, while moving, perform a fake shot the same way that you would with a normal scoop turn, except this time, while you're fake shotting, move the left stick at around a 30-degree angle towards the side that you want to exit. Always consider the direction that you're currently running towards as 0 degrees, and then adjust the left stick 30 degrees to either side of that to determine where you want to exit. The second part of this combination uses the McGee spin. To perform it, simply flick the right stick towards the current direction you are currently moving to, and then have the second flick move either up or down perpendicular to the first flick, and you're gonna go up or down depending on where you want to exit. Always keep practicing, as these skill moves will position you in all sorts of angles, so you'll want to have it memorized to the core of your muscle memory. When we combine the two, it'll look like this. Assuming you're moving from left to right and you want to scoop turn downwards and then McGee spin upwards, you'll start with a running scoop turn, aiming the left stick approximately 30 degrees downwards. Once that is complete, you perform the McGee spin, accounting for your current positioning, and that's the move complete. The great thing about this skill combination is that the running scoop turn alone gives you a very specific change in trajectory of your player. After all, we saw that with the drag back into the scoop turn, and this in itself will draw a lot of attention, and it's going to force the opposing defender to position themselves in a certain manner as they expect and predict how you're going to exit from the running scoop turn. As soon as you perform the McGee spin after the scoop turn, you basically flip the direction you're facing in on its head, and you create a completely new angle already off the get-go, which if your opponent was not expecting, you'll find it will completely open a ton of space and shooting or passing possibilities. Both the drag to drag and the Croquette are 4-star skills, so you will require at least a 4-star skiller to perform the drag to drag into a Croquette. First up, to perform the drag to drag, you'll have to be moving. This will not work if you are stationary. So as you are moving, you perform the inputs of the drag to drag while simultaneously letting go of the left stick. The instant you let go of the left stick is the moment you hold down L2 or LT and perform a fake shot, creating this animation of your player dragging the ball between his feet as he stops his dribble. The Croquette, on the other hand, is performed by holding down L1 or LB and then holding the right stick either up or down. As usual, up or down could mean left or right depending on where your player is facing. Combined, it does get tricky. The timing will have to be good, and this will come with practice. But while dribbling, you let go of the left stick, simultaneously hold down L2 or LT, perform a fake shot, and as the animation of the drag to drag ends, you hold down and prepare with L1 or LB, and then you aim your right stick to wherever you want to exit with La Croquette. This particular combination might be the toughest one in terms of getting the timing and the angles right consistently, but it does make La Croquette really viable again. By itself, of course, La Croquette was rightly nerfed from last year, but in this FIFA, sometimes it feels a bit slow to be considered extremely a deadly skill move. So combining it with the drag to drag opens up a ton of potential. It gives you the option to really fluidly move across the field, and you can find yourself squeezing past opponents, be it on the wing to cut inside and get the angle for a pass, or simply to get by your defender and then have a shot straight after on target. Step overs are a 2-star skill, but the Elastico is a 5-star skill, so you will require a 5-star skiller for this particular combination. First off, step overs have changed this year, so they are a lot easier to perform. All you have to do is flick your right stick to the direction you're currently running, and then make a quarter of a circle motion either up or down, and this will trigger 3 step overs. The Elastico, on the other hand, is performed by flicking your right stick down and performing a clockwise half circle around the back of your player. Keeping that in mind should always help you no matter the angle you're facing. When you combine the two, because of the way the inputs work, you can actually do both of them in one single fluid motion. You simply push your right stick in the direction of where you are dribbling, the same way you would for a normal step over. And then you complete 75% of a circle. The speed at which you perform the entire movement can be changed depending on your desires. So if you want as few step overs as possible before the Elastico, adjust the motion and go relatively quick. If you want more than a single step over before the Elastico is triggered, take it a bit slower. Use the skill game to get the right feel for it. The step over and Elastico combo isn't extremely far off in terms of usage to the normal Elastico that we discussed in the top 5 advanced skill moves video, but with the adding of the step over, you give yourself an extra layer of unpredictability. Now, as we discussed previously, the Elastico is good at suddenly changing your angle, whether to dribble in a new direction or create the space for a pass or a shot. The step over before it almost acts as a deterrent and will buy you some time when opponents are questioning whether or not to come after you during the step over portion of your combination. With this combination, you can also use the step over to draw in the opponent. The Elastico would then be used as a means to changing your running angle, and then after all that, you can explode in that direction with all your momentum, or quickly explode then change the direction again. And over time, you can find interesting ways to change where you're going all the time and confuse your opponent. Both the ball roll and the drag back are 2-star skills, so you can do this combination with a ton of players. But as simple as it is, its utility is not to be underestimated. The ball roll can be performed by simply holding down the right stick either down or up, depending on where you want to exit. To perform the drag back, simply hold down R1 or RB and pull the left stick to the opposite direction of where you're facing. Keeping the left stick backwards will continue and lead to a 180-degree exit. Simply flicking it back, as discussed earlier, leads to a half drag back. Holding it back and then exiting either up or down will give you a 90-degree exit to either side. Finally, holding it back and pushing it back forward will make you explode back to where you came from. And when you combine the two, this is what it looks like, and you use the ball roll to slow yourself down and then the drag back to pull yourself back, and then you have any exit you wish of the drag back to use to your advantage. The ball roll into the drag back is obviously the most basic combination that we're going over today, but we added it to have something so simple that even your 3-star skillers could pull off. Variety is important, and at the end of the day, it's always key to have simple things to fall back on, as the other skill combos and skill moves are arguably best only to use in the final third. This one, however, can be used all over the field, and whether it's to reset the build-up or resetting the attack in the final third, it's a really good combination to fall back on, and it can be done by most players in most areas of the pitch as well, especially after a sprint or after going at a high speed where the ball roll slows you down, and you can consider it almost as a bridge between the sprint and the drag back. We started off the FIFA 20 season with a top 5 skill moves video with some basic fundamentals, and we then worked our way up to the top 5 advanced skill moves, and today we finally went a step further with the top 5 skill combinations. It's an important part of anyone's offensive game, and perhaps this year more than ever because of the way chaining of the skill moves were nerfed in FIFA 20, it's now a portion of the game that requires a lot of thought in terms of finding the right combinations that don't have excessive amounts of error. The ones used today are skill moves that complement each other quite well and give you the tools to add layers of unpredictability into your game. That's going to be it from me today though, so I hope this was useful, and if it was, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. We also want to thank our elite supporters over on Patreon, and if you're interested, you can become a patron today to support the channel as well as receive cool benefits in return over at patreon.com/BPG The Guide.